And welcome to Freshly Grounded, the brand new podcast.
Well, it's not exactly brand new anymore, is it?
Welcome to Freshly Grounded, the podcast.
That's better.
Created by best friends Faisal and Sam.
Huh?
I said welcome to Freshly Grounded.
After that bit.
Created by
After that bit.
best friends Faisal and Sam.
Really?
Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum, Kaya Ismail.
Wa alaikum salam, Faisal Chowdhury. How do you say your second name properly?
Probably in like Chaudhry.
Chowdhury.
Yeah.
Okay, I was saying it properly wrong then.
No, I mean everyone says Chaudhry.
Yeah.
It'd be weird if you, with an English accent, went Faisal Chaudhry.
Chowdhury. But I should, innit? I think I should now. Now that I know it. I think I
don't
will.
know, should you? Well, then in that case, you should pronounce my name.
Faisal.
No, that's what Omar calls me. Because in English, basically, my name in Urdu would be, like they would say in Urdu, they say Faisal. And so in English, when my family would call me, they would call me Faisal because Faisal sounds like Faisal.
Okay.
That'd be the closest, I suppose, the English version of the Urdu.
Yeah.
But then as I grew up, I realized that my name in its asl should be pronounced, it's with a sad, so it's like Faisal.
Yeah.
So in English, how do you change Faisal? Because then I want it to be called Faisal, like, and then I was like, how in English do I go with? I can't teach people a sad everywhere I go.
Yeah.
So I just tell people my name's Faisal because it's very, very smooth on the tongue.
Yeah, it is. Which is what I say. But should I start calling you
Faisal?
Faisal.
No, because I'm too used to Faisal now.
All right. If you ever want
And
me to
my whole brand is now Faisal.
Yeah.
So
All right.
don't ruin the brand, Kai. I just
Sorry, man. And hold on. Second one is Chowdhury.
Chaudhry, yeah.
Chowdhury, okay.
No, but then I don't know how Chaudhry isn't to be pronounced in. Yeah, Chaudhry would be
Yeah.
because it must be a Pakistani name, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah.
It's a common one.
Yes, actually, my name should be pronounced Faisal Chaudhry
Yeah.
because I'm not. Even though the root of my name is Arabic, the root of me is Pakistani.
Yeah. Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I don't know how my name's pronounced, but like in school, I was like Faisal, Faisal.
Oh, bro.
Like Basil.
Okay.
Someone called me
Fine.
Fazil the Basil.
Fine. Makes sense.
Which was not actually that wasn't a fun time for me.
No? Alright, fair enough. With me,
so-
it was like they're always saying Kaya. They said Kaya.
Oh, that's annoying. That's
like
really
in the
annoying.
register, Kaya. I was like, yeah, go on in. But it's pronounced Kaya.
Yeah,
But
Kaya. I would. That's easy for people to pronounce. I would say it's pronounced Kaya. I would give up. Like, people would go like, Faye. I think the one I ended up getting the most was Faisal.
Right.
I didn't
away.
love Faisal though.
No.
Faisal. But saying that, because I know that seems to be the easiest way for like people who, for them English is the first language, in the West especially. Sometimes when I'm in meetings and like stuff like that, I'll be like, hi guys, I'm Faisal, like that.
Okay.
It just seems to flow off. Whereas when I speak to Muslims, I tend to say I'm Faisal. No, I say Faisal. I never say Faisal.
Yeah, I haven't heard you say
Oh,
that.
I say it in Arabic. If I'm
Yeah.
speaking Arabic, I'll be like, yeah, it's me Faisal. Yeah, I do say it in Arabic.
Fine.
And in Urdu, I do say Faisal.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's move on now, Faisal.
I get it, man. I get it. You got a name you can pronounce multiple ways.
Yeah.
I understand.
We're now
You can go a few different
12
ways.
minutes into the podcast.
Yeah.
Okay. So, bro, I just before you came, I was speaking to Sheikh Mohammed Tim, right?
MashaAllah.
And I was saying something. Well, I was saying I had no idea for our next podcast. So with Sheikh Tim's podcast and most like Islamic podcasts that we do, like Islamic centered podcasts, they tend to have a topic, which I'm sure people have noticed by now. And Sheikh Tim likes a topic. Is it him that likes a topic or is it me that likes it? I don't know. It's mutually agreed upon that it makes sense for us to have a topic on this podcast so that we have his time for a limited amount of time. It's hard to get his time, so let's get the most benefit out of it. And so what we have is that this kind of thing where every now and again when like I think of a topic that's pertinent, I'll like shoot it across to him or something. So I finally had the idea for our next podcast episode. Let me know what you think about it.
Okay.
So I said to him, it would be really cool to do an episode on uncommon or or like not very well known characteristics and behaviors of Muslims, right? And so there's characteristics and behaviors that you and I have even spoke of and that I've heard of and I've read about that I think like, wow, there must be a sea of these that would be really interesting to know that aren't commonly utilized or used or even known, right? So there's ones that I've learned really recently, and there's other ones that like I've spoken to with people for a long time. What like that? The one that I spoke to people about for a long time is the one that I heard from. I can't remember what book was being explained, but the thing is that we've spoken about before is when you go into somebody's house. I spoke about a podcast as well, like sit on. If you see like an armchair, don't sit on the arm. Like if you see a chair that's obviously the man of the house's chair, don't sit on that chair. And even though and then there was another one like if you can see a chair that's like facing towards the back of the door, where your back would face the door, sit on that chair, because if like a child kind of swings the door open by accident, and then like one of the sisters isn't covered up properly to protect her honor, you don't see her and stuff like that. And what I loved when I heard these anecdotes is that here are parts of Islam, characteristics that we know of through various narrations that aren't commonly spoken about, but really help a Muslim. And you know what it does, bro? It helps you it helps you in a way that would never be known. Like I will never go, it's unlikely that I'll go, Kaya's sick, man. Whenever he comes in, he never sits at the head of the table. It will never be something that will like probably ever come into discussion, because I probably would never notice it. But it will be the conglomeration of all these small acts that you do that make me go, Kaya's a nice man. Like he's very generous, or he's very thoughtful, and things like that. One that I heard about very recently, I read about from the guys who, one of the guys who runs Pillars, the app. He tweeted, I might try and find his tweet list, but he tweeted some stuff. And one of the things that he tweeted that I actually remember seeing was, when you go to somebody's house, try not to use their bathroom. And again, bro, by the way...
I'm not very good at that.
No, but it's not like... I was going to say, because I don't mind that you use my bathroom, by the way. What I was going to say is none of these things tend to be, or like for the most part, it seems like these things aren't necessarily haram.
I know, yeah.
But it's like, how can you have the most excellence of character?
Yes.
It's not like, bro, I need the toilet, I'm just going to hold it. Like, that's not the case. But it was like, if you leave in your house and you have an option to make wudu before you leave the house, so you don't have to go to and make wudu in someone else's house, just have wudu. I've actually been in a scenario, bro, where like, we all went to one of these, like a friend's house, right? Like a bunch of brothers, all of us were there. And this guy, he's a stickler for a really immaculately clean house, which obviously is a good thing.
Yes.
But like he's really like at all times the house should be clean, which is fine. That's his preference. That's his house. He should. That's a good thing. So all the boys, bro, it's the last time we all had to make wudu. So then I think at the end he went to make wudu and he was like, "Oh my gosh," because we were all tight. Like he could express himself. He was like, "Are you guys making wudu in the sink, or are you making wudu out of the sink?" Like it's really, and you could tell it's like, if you can make wudu before going to the guy's house, now he's got a flood that he has to clean up. It's not nice, right? Yeah. So these kind of things are. I thought it'd be nice to have a discussion with Sheikh Zain about other things that we don't know about that are just good characteristics.
That's right. I think like visiting homes.
While you're talking, I'm going to look for this thread, but I'm listening to you. Is that okay?
That's all right. Very rude, but okay. Yeah. That again, you've spoken about that before, like visiting houses and stuff. He may have some other tidbits which would be good, but I'd be interested also to hear things like when it comes to things like selling and buying. Yeah. Obviously, there's halal and haram with that as well, but there could be additional things you could do, like ihsan, where it's like, let's say for example, you're selling a car. I think you should tell the person there's a certain issue with the car. It's not immediately apparent, but there is a certain issue. That could even be purely a halal haram issue rather than just like ihsan at that point. But it could be other things in that situation where it's like, go above and beyond when you're buying and selling. Again, getting the weights correct when you're buying and selling. It's really important. Again,
even stuff with elders, like when to advise or. Yeah. Like elders, like have you heard of that narration about the two young boys who saw the old man making wudu wrong?
I think I have, but really, I think I have, yeah. Oh, yeah, I do. And one of them, instead of saying he showed him, yeah. Yeah, I think how it goes is they saw him making wudu wrong, and because he was elder, instead of advising him, they
said to him, we like us two are debating about whose wudu is wrong or something. So can you watch both of our wudu? And I think they both done the bit that he was doing wrong correctly, so that he clocked that, I'm doing that wrong, which is like a beautiful way of giving advice to somebody who's older, isn't it?
Yes. And we were talking yesterday about how it's difficult to advise older people, isn't it?
We were, don't we?
Because they've got, not only, when you advise anybody, they've got to come to the realization that they're wrong and the truth is the truth and they should accept it.
That's really difficult.
Which is difficult for everybody, really, to a certain extent. But when you're older, specifically, like talking like 60, 70, 80, not only do you have that challenge in front of you, you've got the additional challenge of, wow, I'm 78 years old. By accepting this as truth, I've now got to admit to myself I've been wrong for like 78 years, which is another like additional obstacle. So yeah, advising old people is not easy.
I haven't mastered that one.
I don't think many people have.
I'm not very good with direct advice, I don't think.
Aren't you? I think you are.
I think I'm like, I like to be confrontational, but then when I do advise, I am confrontational.
Mashallah, you've advised me a couple of times on things.
I don't remember.
I won't say exactly what, but nothing like you. Like you weren't beating me up or anything. But you just like, you mentioned, you had a comment where it's like, oh, okay, enough. It's been great, and alhamdulillah, like the things that you have advised me on, because you said it the way you said it, and not even that, but the way you said it, I think was better for me. But it made me really think and like, oh wow, that part of me is not correct. I need to change that.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah, so
that's nice to hear.
That's and that's something that I struggle with really, because when I see someone doing something that's probably not quite right, I probably veer too far towards excuses, and like, whereas really you should just say to them, look, bro, fix up on that little thing. Man.
No, but you are good at that, bro. Because I remember, I think you're very good with when you see something that you're very confident to forbid the evil. You will say to a random person, like, excuse me, brother, like, I don't think that's good. Like, what was it? Like, someone was like, shirtless, and it was in public, and you kind of said to him, I don't think that's appropriate here. You're in a Muslim country, kind of thing. Like,
yeah, that's true. I don't think I'm as good as I've come across, but I've got a couple of like stories where I've been good. But I think generally speaking, I'm not as good as I've come across.
No, and then that gives me confidence because I'm not that like. Remember the other day?
Yeah.
So the other day I'll be very vague about it, but the other day we went somewhere and they had something in this place that probably is not great on their part.
They had
quite risky on their part.
something on a restaurant menu which was badly not correct, basically.
Yeah, and we were like debating like should we like advise them, and Kaya basically. And I was like, must maybe like a bit nervous, and then Kaya just like said it, and then that gave me confidence to go, I was going,
bro, you like basically like push me out of the way, like, yeah, you're right, and then like you're like chatting to the guy. Alhamdulillah.
All right, so I found it. So I'll go over very briefly some of the stuff. So this page that this brother has posted, this talks about the importance of appearance, which again is another great one.
Yeah.
That's actually really, really true. I was actually deep in something else actually. Okay. Like when you know what somebody else might not like, right? And you go out of your way to make sure that you're like appearing proper in that. It's not going to make sense if I'm very vague about it, so I'll be direct. So I know, for example. Okay, fine. The only way to explain it is to say it in truth, to be honest. I don't know why I'm not trying to dance around it. Yeah. But just now, because now it makes it sound like I'm like this pious guy. So just now when you were coming in, when you were coming in, I wasn't wearing any socks, which is normal.
Yeah.
And like, which you've seen me not wearing any socks before. And like, it's such a normal, like, non-issue, yeah? But in my head, I thought to myself, I know some people are just like weird around feet. Like Cairo. Remember, was it Cairo who said that he's like... no, I might be wrong. I shouldn't say Cairo because I don't know who it was. Yeah. But I remember some people, they just like are like they just find them like
repulsive
for some reason. I don't know why. So I was like, you know what? man's coming to the yard. Let me just throw some socks on because, like, just to be respectful, in case like he's like, which is such a weird thing to do.
Could you imagine, like, hey, I just saw you. I was like, bro, let's do it another day, man. Let's actually, something's come up.
So that's what it reminded me of because I just did that. But anyway, so it says the Muslim personality is distinct. One due to its unique code. We appearance, taste, and manners, character, reflect your personality. Oh, another good thing to ask them about is like eating, for example. Like, you know, at what point is like what's a good character way of eating when you're with loads of people? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Remember when we went to a restaurant one time? Me, you, Cairo, a few. We were introduced some people in Dubai.
Yeah.
Went to a nice, big, fancy restaurant. They took us out and they ordered loads of things. And and then after we left, you said to me, "Are you hungry or something?" And I said, "I'm stuffed."
Yeah.
And you were like, "Oh, because I was hungry there, but I didn't want you're being like a good person, but I'm like, you know, if people were eating, you're eating. If they weren't eating, you weren't like. And I was so hungry, I was like grabbing the sushi. And then after, you were hungry and I wasn't.
Yeah.
Because you probably did the right thing. And then with me, who you're comfortable with, you're like, bro, like, let's go eat because I'm hungry.
McDonald's, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, the reason that happened is I was trying, again, I'm not pious, but you're supposed to eat what's in front of you, innit? Like, we really should have like a big platter of, like a big mandi platter and everyone eats from the same thing. So you eat what's in front of you, so you don't reach across the platter to someone else's area. We had loads of little plates on that table. And what was there, 5 of us, I think? And so like, there was
six of us.
There was like 2 or 3 plates near me. And even then I was kind of half sharing them with the guy next to me. So I was like, I can't really reach over and grab other plates. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it is what it is, isn't it? Yeah. I think at one point someone offered me, I think you offered me or someone, maybe Cairo.
Yeah, I can see your pain. I was like, Cairo, have this seaweed.
Yeah, exactly.
That seaweed was so good.
It was good, mashallah. The sushi was good there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just ate that, but I couldn't even finish them because like, I was sharing with that guy. So I had like basically the equivalent of like one little plate.
Yeah, I could see you holding back. Because I thought maybe me eating more would encourage you to. Because I think we went. Did we travel together to that restaurant?
Yes.
I think we travelled hungry.
We were. Like, I was looking forward to like a bit of a sushi samba.
But we did eat well. Like they ordered a lot of food and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not saying they didn't order enough food. They did, but it just wasn't near me. I was on the edge of the table, and so like
because there was food left over basically.
Yeah, there was.
But then ended up getting eaten. Alhamdulillah.
You did, alhamdulillah. But even then, not by me. Because like, bro, firstly, I've just met these guys.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get out of my seat now and start reaching across and grabbing stuff, or even asking like, oh, you know, that plate of sushi right in front of you, bro. Would you mind giving it to me? It's like.
But I have this really funny story where the opposite is true. So it was when we first ever met Sheikh Muhammad Tim, and it was me, Shahid, and Sam from Freshly Grounded, right? So we did the Dubai Freshly Grounded thing. It was that around that time, and we hadn't met Sheikh Tim before it. I think Shahid had been to his classes, but Sam and I hadn't met him. This is the first time I ever meeting him. So we really wanted to meet him because we knew he was based in Dubai and we were here in Dubai, and there was like a small chance that one of his students or something was going to try and arrange a dinner for us. And there's a small chance we were going to meet him, but we weren't going to know until pretty much last minute because I think the student was going to try and judge if the sheikh was too tired after his teaching, after he taught Isha, because he had a class that he was teaching after Isha. So we were like, all right, cool, we'll just be about, we'll make sure that we like available around time just in case. So we get the call, right? Yeah, it's like, the sheikh's like cool to go for dinner basically. So we're like, all right, solid. So we're ravenous, bro.
Yeah.
We're really hungry, right? The 3 of us. And so we were like near downtown and we're like, look, we're so hungry that we don't want to be rude and get there so hungry, just be eating and stuff in our faces around the sheikh. So we decided to eat on our way, right? Yeah. So like, let's try and eat something on our way where we can eat, be fairly full and just like, but we'll still have space for more. And you know when you're really hungry, you go, bro, I could eat a meal now and I'll still be hungry for more. Yeah. So we're like, all right, cool. So we stopped off at McDonald's. We ate the fattest McDonald's. Probably not the fattest, we just ate McDonald's, all 3 of us. We were stuffed, went to this dinner with the sheikh. The sheikh being having the most beautiful character, like made sure to order us we ordered a decent. They ordered a good amount of food. Like I would have there's a lot of us brothers that have like 2 mandis and stuff.
Yeah.
Bro, so I'm sitting next to Sheikh Tim on one side, and Sam is sitting next to Sheikh Tim on the other side or opposite him, and it's a small restaurant. We all sat on the floor in this beautiful restaurant. Akhi, we're stuffed and we're trying to eat out of good manners.
Yeah.
the sheikh looks at us and he's like, face off, seeing you haven't been eating. And he goes, Sam, you haven't been eating. Like, eat properly. So the sheikh is like, again, out of the beauty of his character, feeding us because he's hosting us.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh my gosh, we did the worst thing by trying to eat before to try and say. So the reverse can be true as obviously.
That's mad. And the mad thing about McDonald's is, mad tangent now. Have you ever? It always fills you up like weirdly. Whatever meal you get, you feel very full afterwards. Do you not feel that? Firstly, do you feel that? Like it weirdly, like whatever meal you get,
almost like sickly.
Yeah, to the point where it's like any more and it's too much. No matter what meal it is, like if you get a quarter pounder meal or Big Mac meal, it all does the same kind of thing, which makes you think it's some weird chemical thing because like almost every meal gives you the same feeling. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And also when you go to a Mandi restaurant, did you know you were going to a Mandi restaurant at that point?
No, I can't remember.
The reason I ask is because at a Mandi restaurant they bring it like that. Like you sit down.
Oh, really?
So like you're probably thinking, by the time the food gets to the table as well. But Mandi restaurant.
That's what we were thinking, yeah.
Mandi restaurant, it's been cooking all day, innit? So it's literally ready. That stuff is like cooking for hours. So you order it, it's like, we'll just go and grab it from like the oven and bring it. Like it takes 5 minutes.
They just put in Mandi's, okay, fine.
So literally like as soon as you sit down, within 5 minutes you got your food.
Yeah.
So that was
funny.
That was a schoolboy error, man.
Yeah, we all have a laugh about it now all the time. I don't know if Sheikh Tim knows about it. I think we might have told him.
That's jokes.
But that's funny. Okay, so just to finish that up, the importance of appearance, that's really interesting, isn't it? Because like you don't want someone to feel uncomfortable. Like you never want to give an impression and make someone feel comfortable with how you look or smell or anything like that. And what's beautiful about Islam is that it doesn't go overboard. It's not saying, make sure you're wearing a Gucci t-shirt when you come into that room, but like it's not very pleasant. Like right now I'm wearing an unironed t-shirt. It's probably not very pleasant. I could have ihsan and wear an iron t-shirt just for the sake of A, protecting my honor, and then B, it's branding, isn't it?
Yeah, I was going to say, have some respect, man.
Yeah, on your t-shirt, yeah. So let's move on then.
That kind of stuff doesn't. I mean, obviously you're 100% correct in terms of like having ihsan everything we do. This is from the Deen, isn't it? Like having ihsan in what we do. But for that, when it comes to like iron stuff, I don't really care.
I know, but here's the beautiful thing.
I'm not saying that's good, by the way.
No. It is good, bro. Look, here's the beautiful thing: is that you're not meant. It's not about you caring or not. It's about me. Like having ihsan regardless of whether you care or not, because that's what's beautiful. I think the combination should be me trying to make sure that I'm not making you uncomfortable and you not being easily offended. That's how they both need to work together.
And
it can't be that like I'm trying to, because we've all done something where like you've like cooked a meal for someone, maybe like an elder in your community, and you put in effort. And they've gone, the rice is a bit burnt. Yeah. Like, oh man, like I tried. Like I'm not even a cook, bruv. Like you know what I mean? Like I've been slogging it out for 5 hours. Like, I took a day off work for this. So it has to be where the guy sees that you put in effort and you don't normally cook and go, oh man, Kaya, that was good food, man. Thanks for that. Yeah. I'm not going, it could be better here and there and everywhere.
And I guess also, it's very important for us to mention that we should be doing this for the sake of Allah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned like the socks of me, for example. It doesn't really matter, at the crux of it, it doesn't really matter whether I would mind or not. You're doing it as a way, for the sake of Allah, to try to honor me and try to treat me well because I'm your brother. Yeah. So similarly with like sitting in certain places in the house or at manners in anywhere, you're not sure if that person's going to mind or care or not. Again, with that whole iron t-shirt thing, I personally don't mind. Someone else may. But you could say to yourself, I'm going to iron my t-shirt.
You're representing Islam, right?
Yeah. I mean, but not just that, but I mean like, between you and Allah, it's like I want to try to treat my brother the best, because loving for your brother what you love for yourself, isn't it? Based on the hadith, you want to try and follow that. I'm paraphrasing that hadith, by the way. You want to try and do that for the sake of Allah, and it's like if the person cares or not, or minds or not, or they notice or not, doesn't matter because you're trying to do it for the sake of Allah, isn't it? So wherever, I think that sort of solves that whole. Where's a line in the sand? It's like like you should do your best regardless of whoever it is or whatever you think they like or don't like.
Yeah, you do your bit and hope that the other person does their bit in not being like, you know, I can't think of a clean word, but like a pooey pants about it. And even if they are, you still done your bit. So you still get the reward regardless. So there's another one, bro, that I was just seeing. This is cool because this is again something I didn't think of, and I'm probably quite bad. I think I'm bad at this. It says removing your shoes. As a rule, take off your shoes unless your host asks you to keep them on. Removing your shoes is at an appropriate spot and put them in an orderly fashion. This is a good manner. So we're talking about manners here, essentially, aren't we?
Yeah.
So I remember when you were in London and I went to check on your house, and I checked on your whole house and I left. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I forgot to take my shoes off. Like, and it's like, if you were there, I would have instantly, you're like, oh, like, you take your shoes. But I just like did the check, and I came and says, did I message you after and tell you that? I thought I'm
not sure, you may have done.
Yeah, and I was like, oh man, that's so rude of me to do. And they're kind of things where you think like those little things do matter, because a person probably does think like, you do think those things. Like, in our house in where we lived initially, we're in my mum's house. There's no, like, we don't normally ask people or require people to take off their shoes in my mum's house. And that's just because I think maybe like the way the floors are, like just generally like it's not been a thing, right?
Yeah.
Then I moved into so growing up, it's never been a thing where we like, oh, like take your shoes off or anything like that. So then growing up, then moving into our first ever flat, the way that flat was if you keep your shoes on in that flat, the way the floors are, you're gonna start moving the what is it called? Like the laminate flooring,
Right.
And on top of that is dirty, it's clean, right? So I remember the first time I think I had a conversation with my missus, and I said, oh, like, this is new for me, that almost like it's better if people take their shoes off in our house, in that particular house. And so I remember saying to her, like, I'm almost set myself a rule. I was like, all right, cool. Here's what we'll do. We'll put a shoe rack by the door with our shoes in it. So it implies that shoes are to be taken off. Which I know is the case in this house as well, but that's just because it was in that house. But here in this house, if people wear shoes in this house, it's completely fine, because the way the tiles are here, bro, you have to mop this floor constantly anyway. Yeah. It's not one of those houses, it's not got carpets and stuff like that. So I said, we'll do that, but I said, we'll never ask people to take their shoes off, because I don't feel comfortable doing that. And I don't think I would ever ask someone to take their shoes off, hopefully, because I don't feel that's a comfortable thing to ask someone, and I think if it will come across a bit rude. So I said, if people do wear their shoes, it's fine, we won't make a thing of it, because it is what it is, you can clean it after. But I said, generally speaking, it's better if we, like, when we come in, like, another thing is, when we come, if we're bringing someone into the house, when we come in, we'll take our shoes off so they kind of follow lead, things like that. That's like a nice way of doing it without advising someone.
That's it, man. And I think, like, again, like you said earlier, if both people on both ends are doing their part, if you're trying your best to not be rude by taking your shoes off, but you forget, for example, the other person should meet you equally with, bro, if you forget, it's no big deal. Like, doesn't matter. You should have, like, you should be very lenient when it comes to other people.
Very lenient.
You should be strict on yourself, lenient on others.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If everyone's like that, then nobody would get offended, or it would take a lot to offend somebody, to the point where, all right, you've overstepped the mark now. Like, you can keep your shoes on, but don't, like, spit on the floor. Do you know what I mean? So, like, if everyone's doing their part, it's very difficult to have friction, isn't it?
Of course.
And again, for the sake of Allah, not for the sake of this, because you can run out of patience with this guy or this girl who's come in and, like, she's kept her shoes on, she's gone in my fridge. Do it for the sake of Allah. It doesn't really matter what she's doing. And, all right, maybe next time if it was mad, then don't invite them again. But at that point, it shouldn't be mad friction, 100%. Because you should be forgiving them for everything that, like, is offending you. Agreed. And just trying to make their especially if you're hosting them. Agreed. Do you know what I mean? And of course, on their side, they should be not going through your fridges and stuff without asking. But you know what I mean? Everyone going an extra little, like, 10%, that creates that buffer zone where it's like, you just create excuses for them. And like you said, bro, you're more than welcome to, if you feel like someone overset the mark, like, this guy's come to my house, he's wearing his shoes all over my cream carpet, he's going to my fridge, eating, he's grabbing an apple and feeding himself without asking, like, just don't invite them again. Yeah. Because that is overstepping the mark. Don't invite them again. You know what I mean? Because you haven't, if that's what they're doing the first time. But there is, I do agree, there's a time where a conversation should and can be had, but, like, I suppose we're speaking, like, generally, like, with these small pieces of manners, you should overlook things. And having those good manners will avoid that confrontation, like, 99% of the time. And it will only be a confrontational issue when, like, something mad is happening. So this other one says, a visitor is not an inspector.
When you enter a home, whether you're a visitor or a guest, overnight guest, don't closely examine the contents of the house as an inspector would.
Yeah.
Limit your observation to what you need to see. Do not open closed closets or boxes. Do not inspect a wallet. Or baggage, yeah. Another one says burdening your host with requests. I think this is a good one. Man.
Yeah.
And I try and be conscious of this because I find that I'm quite... Because naturally, I feel like a conversationist.
Right.
I don't find it hard to ask a question. I don't find it hard to make a request.
Right.
And so I've clocked that about myself. I'm going, okay, make sure you don't do that, because I don't want to go to someone and be like, oh, bro, do you have a cold water? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And things like that. No, but you, again, even though someone wouldn't be offended by it, you want to try and have it ihsan on yourself.
Of course,
right?
Of course. But there's also like ways of doing things as well. Like if someone brings you a warm water, you could be like, bro, you ain't got cold. That I consider a bit rude.
Yeah.
But you could have the same request in a nice way.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
that's
bro,
true.
I'm really hot. Is it possible to have a cold one?
That's
Oh, you
true.
don't have it? No problem, man. It's fine. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the same request, but the way you go about things as well makes a big difference.
That's true.
But
That's
yeah.
true.
Yeah, man. I think like...
Timing your visit.
Yeah, so the right is what this is what I was going to say. The rights of the host as well, because obviously we know all about rights of the guest. Yeah, everyone sort of is quite aware of that. You need to be good to your guests, so on and so forth. But the host also has a lot of rights. And I feel like a lot of people don't know what his rights are, like the etiquette of how to knock on the door,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. You know, how to announce yourself, who you are.
Yeah.
And again, we were saying like requests, stuff like that. So yeah, man, Islam gives everybody rights.
It does, yeah.
Similar with like, the husband's rights, or the women's rights. All the sisters feel like the sisters' rights not spoken about enough, and brothers similarly for them. But it's important to get that balance right and to speak about everybody's rights.
Yeah.
Because Islam is a holistic system.
Yeah.
Like people look examine Islam from the outside. They're like, oh, how is inheritance like this? Da, 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 da. It's like, bro, it's a whole system. You can't just take out one thing and like put it into the Western world and say, oh, how does this work? Because Islam is a system.
Yeah.
It would replace the entire system that you currently have. And when you look at it in the context of the system, it makes perfect, beautiful sense.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Similarly with the rights, like, yes, the guest has such and such rights, but also the host has. You know, you can't just come in and be crazy. So yeah, balancing those rights or Islam has balanced the rights. You just got to recognize them and
understand them, know them, and have knowledge on them. Because we were speaking about something else yesterday, weren't we? That in no way is this episode of the podcast a advice to people to start practicing anything that we're saying, because I suppose we're just having a conversation.
It's advice to ourselves.
It's a conversation that we would have off mic, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think we were talking about something last night. We were saying that it's so dangerous for us to read extracts of information and implement/teach it to others without understanding it holistically, being taught it, because we might get it wrong. Like if people would take advice solely on this podcast, they could do something wrong. Like they could really need to make wudu, but be like, oh, now on that podcast they said don't go to someone's house to make wudu, and now I've missed my salah. Actually, that is a big musibah, isn't it?
Yeah.
So generally speaking,
have wisdom as well. Really.
It's so important to have knowledge and to understand the knowledge, and to be taught the knowledge by others and stuff like that.
And you know what it is, bro? Like spending time with good companions is like this. If you spend time with good companions, you learn this stuff subconsciously. Do you know what I mean? Like since I moved here in London, I didn't really have a big group of like practicing brothers as friends, as close friends. So I wouldn't really spend much time with them, with like practicing brothers. Whereas here, I came here, alhamdulillah, a lot of brothers like invited me to their homes, and I just learned like, oh, this is like when you're going to eat with like a bunch of brothers, this is how you do it. We go out to a restaurant, Mandi restaurant again, this is how it's done. Just like mad little tidbits of information or like manners that you pick up just by being with good friends. So there's another benefit there of like, if this all seems a bit like much to you, because some people could listen to this and think, wow, there's like, I personally see this stuff and I think, wow, Islam is beautiful. It's sort of ironed out every nook and cranny of life, you know? But some people, especially when they start practicing, they'll think these are all like strict rules that you must follow, and you know, don't forget this, don't forget that. It's not really like that. When you spend more time with good practicing brothers, this is like things you just naturally move towards.
Yeah.
And what we're saying now is just sort of like
subconscious. Yeah.
You know, we're sort of making people aware these sort of beautiful manners exist. Because most of the time we've seen them. Yeah, we've seen them.
Yeah.
Rather than like we sat down and you can of course study manners, and we should. But like when you see people doing it and you experience it, it's like, wow, yeah, this is such a more beautiful way to say X when I usually say Y.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That kind of stuff. So yeah, spending time with good people brings this on naturally.
When we were studying at Badr, Sheikh Jamal, he would teach us a class called Tarbiyah, which is just manners. And the whole class he'd be teaching us these kind of manners. And he said that he said that from his teacher, and his teacher is so knowledgeable, he said like 80% or 90% of stuff that he's learned from his teacher has been from staying with him and watching him, not from speaking to him.
Yes.
And that doesn't belittle how much he's learned from speaking to him. It just shows that the amount of information he's gained by speaking to him has been even more than that in just learning from how he behaves. And you can see that in his character as well. He's very like unintimidating and very friendly and things like that. Very giving with his time, and there's another thing I would like to ask Sheikh Sim on that episode if we talk about the topic, which is also like how to respond to things, which I sometimes get stuck on, because if you spend time with shuyukh, people of knowledge, students of knowledge, they've got great character for the most part. And so I've been in situations where, like, I don't know, there's a bunch of us brothers having dinner. Some of the people are like, you know, people of knowledge. Other people are just like regular people like me. And then we'll be speaking to Sheikh, asking, oh, Sheikh, what do you think about this? Like, oh, what's going on with this, stuff like that. And he'll be speaking. And then he might say to you, oh, like, what do you think about this? Or like, can you give me some advice on this? Okay. I've had that, and I feel like they've done that out of the beauty of their character, but they don't need my advice. Yeah. And it's just like, how do you respond to that? Do you go, is the right way to go? I feel like the right way isn't to just respond to it. And I'll tell you why. Because, you know, when you then flip it on the sheikh and you ask him a question, we've had this, bro. Like, you're around the teachers, you ask them a question and they'll refuse to answer. Or there'll be someone else in the room or in the sitting that they feel like is better, more knowledgeable than them. They'll say, I'm not answering until he answers. This is a better question for him. And they'll be fighting each other saying, no, you answer, no, you answer, no, you answer. And then they'll ask us a question, we're like, yeah, well, I would say you do it like this. I mean, so there has to be something where I wonder how you do it, like where you go, maybe you just go, like, I'm not sure, Sheikh, like, I wouldn't be the best person to ask. Maybe that's better.
Yeah, probably
you know
is, isn't it? Yeah, because you're right. When there's actual serious people of knowledge sitting down, and there's like two of them. Or something
very
like that,
careful when
they're very careful, and they're always putting on to and also like we know from many narrations of like early scholars. There's a popular narration of like a man who travelled from like Maghrib, like Morocco, Tunisia area, to Imam Malik, isn't it? To ask him questions. He had like 50 questions to ask him, something like that.
I don't know about this.
I think I'm getting it right with Imam Malik. And I think most of the questions Imam Malik is something I don't know.
Really?
And the man was like, I've travelled like a long time. Like my tribe is like waiting for these answers. And long story short, it was basically like, for those, like 90% of the questions I don't know.
Yeah, and you know what else, bro? I've been in so many experiences where I've been humbled by knowledge later. So like I've implemented something in my family, and then later I've found out that it's like there's a difference of opinion on it, like a scholarly difference of opinion. Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, like I was harsh back then. Like, so you do get humbled by knowledge all the time. So you've got to be careful with like how much you're like, how quick you are to answer a question when it's like, you have to get the balance right, because there's like certain people in your, like if you can have influence over your family and like keep it within that, obviously maybe, or with your children and stuff like that. But then even then you got to maybe construct it in a way where like your children and family feel open to asking you more, or you construct it in a way where if later you find out that the advice that you're giving was wrong, that you haven't burnt the bridges with your children or your family, like it's not hard for you to go, oh, remember I said that? Actually, there is a bit of Leo that is like, imagine, for example, like a very easy one is like the traveling situation, because there's so many different opinions on it. Let's say, for example, you hold the opinion that you can only shorten your prayers and combine your prayers for 4 days, right? Let's say you hold that opinion. So you implement that with your wife and kids, right? And then you travel, and then later, a few years later, you're studying more knowledge, and actually what sits in your heart now is that it's 12 days, or that it's based on the urf of the people. And so now what's happened is that your opinion sincerely has changed. What's settled in your heart has changed. You gain more knowledge, and you no longer believe in a 4 days thing. If you went so in because your kid combined prayers on the 5th day, but it's going to be hard for you now to go back and advise. You know what I mean? So it's almost like to understand that you can be humbled by knowledge, maybe.
Yeah, maybe a bit hard to go back, but you definitely, and if anything, if you find it hard, definitely should, because really, again, it comes back to sincerity, doesn't it? Because especially if you're giving dawah to people, like let's say you're giving dawah to your parents or brothers and sisters, and you are mad harsh on a certain topic early on in your journey, and you come back a couple of years later, you find out there's leeway with it. It's really important to go back and correct yourself there, because it shows them that, okay, this guy isn't like, I'm not arguing against him.
Yeah.
It's not his opinion.
It's not his ego.
It's not his ego. It's genuinely what he believes Islam is telling him in such pace. And that tells them, like, okay, because when it comes to brothers, sisters, and parents, they think it's them versus you. Argument with like, you know, my son or my little brother or my older brother. But when you demonstrate to them, no, this isn't my opinions. This is me trying to obtain knowledge from the deen and just giving it to you. At that point, it's like, okay, they see the broader picture now, and it depersonalizes, or it sort of it takes the conversation out of what would otherwise just be a conversation between brothers or a father and a son, with all the baggage that has. And suddenly it's, okay, it's actually not about this dynamic, it's actually about the truth.
Yeah.
So yeah,
and they're wrestling with that themselves as well.
Course,
and like,
definitely.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. And if anything, that could be holding them back, because we were talking about this again yesterday.
Yeah.
With a father and son dynamic, it's like, of course, there's the quote unquote obstacle of accepting the truth and implementing your life. But if it's also coming from your son, it's like I changed this guy's nappy. You know, it's a tough one for me to change my whole life based on my son's opinion, or my little brother's opinion, or my older brother's opinion. You know, so if you can extract the conversation, you know, from that dynamic by doing that, then you definitely should.
Yeah.
To demonstrate to them, no, this isn't like you and me. This is much bigger than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the discussion of manners is, I find, very interesting, because no one's got perfect manners. And so I like the idea of, in general, in every part of my life, constantly improving myself. I want to be a better person tomorrow than I was today. Yeah. And I want to be a better person in 10 years' time than I was 10 years ago. And so you have to be open to constantly understanding what's a better way of doing things, what are better manners of doing things, how do you respond, how do you look, like, you know, like they say, like, you should never look a dog straight in the eyes, right? Like, it's like, because then it's like you're challenging him.
Yeah.
I wonder if, like, there's, like, you know, when you're speaking to people, like, there is, isn't there? Like, you should lower kind of maybe your eye line when you're speaking to maybe someone, an elder.
Yeah.
And things like that. So we can all be better in many ways, bro.
Definitely. Like, especially me. I've got, like,
all of us.
Mountains to climb when it comes to manners and this kind of thing, man. But I see it as a beautiful thing, because it's like, again, Islam is perfect, and it's sort of laid out in front of me on like a clear way to sort of improve myself. And it's just upon me to just like.
I think the hardest manners to have is manners with the people in your household, because they're the people that you don't. You see them all the time, so you can't. Not put on a front, because I don't think you put on a front when you're around your friends, but it's easier to have good manners with your friends and stuff, because you don't see them, you're not seeing them.
Yeah.
When you're leaving the house to meet someone, you're going for dinner with them, a friend. You've left your house with the intention of being, you're ready for it, you're proper.
Yeah.
I'm going out, so I'm going to shower, I'm going to do this, I'm going to prepare, I'm going to make sure I get my work done early so that so you're ready for that dinner. But when you're in your house, you're not ready for things.
Yeah.
You're about to start a meeting, and then something crazy's happened. So you're like, you're not ready for it. So it's those moments where it actually matters. I think we all fall short in those moments.
Yeah,
for sure, man, for sure.
Yeah.
I was thinking that, because I know we're going to shoot in a circle now.
Yes.
I was thinking that maybe earlier we should have earlier ordered something at the beginning of this podcast for in a circle, which I don't think is going to be realistic now.
No, probably not.
Because, but you know what?
We could go and grab something very quickly.
Shashi Fiddies is on here. I don't think it is.
If they can deliver within half an hour, then that's
no, it's not.
that could be done.
Is it because FILLI? I'll tell you what I would want to try, bro, and I think you would love.
Yeah. Talk to you, man.
Have you had this place called Al Safadi?
Yeah.
Have you had it?
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Bro, it's so good.
It's so good, man.
Bro, it's like 11 dirhams for a sandwich. The most beautiful sandwich you have, fresh bread.
The shawarma sandwich.
Yeah, bro. So I had the shawarma sandwich, lovely, and chicken musahab, 23 dirhams.
It's fine. These are good prices, man.
Very good.
I thought they were more expensive than that.
It's pulled chicken with garlic. Oh, in a baguette, fresh baguette.
I recommend. I went there with Kerem. He got their shawarma plate, like chicken shawarma and lamb shawarma. That was beautiful. and I got the mansaf. Have you had mansaf before?
No. What is
So
it?
Jordanian.
I'm looking at the menu now.
I think it's Jordanian or Palestinian.
He had the chicken shawarma platter plate.
Yes,
That's a bit basic.
but it's nice. It was basic,
on,
but it's
Kerem.
nice. Yeah, it was good though. I can't lie.
You had the what?
I had the mansaf, MANSAF. I think it's Jordanian. It's basically like lamb shank or lamb shoulder on rice, covered in like a cream sauce.
Ooh.
It was very good, man. Very, very good.
I'm looking for it now.
And the hummus is good as well.
Wow, they do a lot of calamari.
Yeah. Have you seen the restaurant in Motor City?
No.
It's right next to, you know where Nando's is?
Yeah.
It's all like on its own little mall area, isn't it? That little.
Yeah.
It's on that same mall, but
Is
right
it a
on.
big restaurant?
Yeah, it's quite big.
Because it's like sandwiches. I would imagine it to be like a little food truck.
No. It's a big. Like, it's quite fancy inside as well.
Really?
Yeah. Like the prices are like surprisingly good.
It'd be nice to get some of those. Oh, I should order the sandwiches early. Oh, but we can't have sandwiches on the podcast anyway.
Yeah. I don't mind it. Problem is, will it come in time? Problem is, it come in time.
It's come in time.
Yeah.
And also, that's why the Phillies thing would have been perfect.
Next time we'll do Phillies earlier on.
But how would we do that? Because it doesn't come here. We'd have to go grab it.
Oh right.
Ijaza's not on here either.
Ijaza, they're not on Talabat. You got to order directly from them. So I've got their number, WhatsApp number.
Well, and they will come.
Yeah. You just send them. Oh.
It's fine. It's a good time to close it then.
Yeah, you just send
I think
them
the camera's overheated.
Yeah.
Because I forgot to put the fan on it. So I'll go grab the fan now it's fine. I'll get the fan downstairs.
You sure?
For Inner Circle.
Fine.
But guys, thank you so much for watching this week's episode of Freshly Grounded.
Absolutely. Thank you.
About manners. And improve your manners.
Yeah. Now.
Yeah. Assalamu alaikum.
Like I said.